Welcome to the Five Toughest, one of the biggest features on Rugby AM, and I don't think we could have found a bigger rugby personality to do it with than Jason Robinson. Jason, it's great to have you. You're one of the most popular characters in World Rugby League, and a couple of weeks ago we had Ellery Hanley on the show, and he named you in his top 3 toughest players, and I've been fascinated ever since to find out who your toughest is. Starting with number 5, who would be your toughest player?
I think Wendell Saylor would be one of them. I played against Wendell in both league back in the day. Played against him when he played for Brisbane, Australia, and also played against him in Rugby Union World Cup. So, it was tough just because he was a big guy. He was
Massive.
He was really strong, just great feet.
Yep.
He was fast, and he was just one of those players that was always going to be a handful. For me, just trying to bring the big fellas down were tough enough, let alone somebody who's got the power and the speed to go with it as well.
I always thought it was fortunate that I played with Wendell Saylor. One Boxing Day game, Wendell was a real superstar, wasn't he? Not just on the domestic stage, but internationally. He's one of those blokes that could step up and perform at world-class level.
And he did. And you just look at some of the big games that he played in. You look at some of the things that he did to just change a game.
Yeah.
The bigger players, love the big occasions, and they produce something special. And he had it all. Just his footwork for a big fella to move the way he did.
Yep.
But then have the out and out pace to finish it off. So he'd definitely be up there because he caused me a few headaches over the years.
One after Wendell Saylor, then who would be number 4?
I'd definitely go a bit further in now. Mal Meninga. I mean, he had that experience as a player. Those leadership qualities, but he was just hard to get hold of. He had a low centre of gravity, but he was just really strong. And I can remember him dropping the shoulder on, I think it was John Devereux,
right,
and broke his jaw. But he was just solid.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You'd have to fire a lot of people into him just to try and stop him. But he was. I mean, you look at Australian players, and they've always had sort of world-class players. But when you mention the name Mal Meninga, I was never a centre.
Yeah.
Sometimes he'd stray out into that channel, and I'd be like, wow. "It's yours." But yeah, just one of the old-time greats, and he was a great leader. You know what I mean? There's not. If you wanted a few people to be in the trenches with you, it'd certainly be Mal Meninga.
Well, in no particular order, who'd be number 3?
Darren Lockyer.
Not such a big guy.
No.
So why do you describe him as one of your toughest?
Yeah, just because the great thing about rugby is it's for all shapes and sizes.
Absolutely.
He was just so good at. He had great footwork. He was a great kicker of the ball. He would pop up, certain places. He was just a really good, skillful player. He had the hands as well, either to put somebody through a gap or, just create something for himself. When you look at players who consistently performed, he was one of those players. If I was playing against, I just think, right, dear me, I'm going to have to be at my best today. Otherwise, he's gonna make me look stupid. He was always the undoing of a lot of teams.
I'm glad you mentioned that, the undoing, because you've won World Cups, you've played on the highest stage of sporting prowess, I guess. And I've spoke to a lot of players who've played international, and in particular, England or Great Britain have gone to play against an Australian side and been in the game, in the contest, for 75, 76, 77 minutes, and then Darren Lockyer come up with something that would undo them. Now that requires a great deal of mental toughness and that ability to be able to prepare physically and mentally for all those minutes on the highest stage at international level, and he could do that, couldn't he?
Oh, definitely, and he did, and that's, for me, that's why he's just one of the greats, because the thing is with guys like that, you just expect it. People going to watch him, they would just expect him to be at that level, and many people could only wish that at some point in their career they could play one game like that,
Yep.
never mind, sort of back to back and year in, year out. When you're in those big games and you need that calm head, you need somebody just to direct the ship or, just come up with something. For me, he was one of those players that could do it.
Brilliant. Give me one more, give me another one. We've got two left. Give me another one of your toughest players.
I played against this player for a big part of my career. And I have to say, Martin Afire. When you think of wingers,
Yeah.
if there's one person you wanted to put in a gap to guarantee a try, it would be Martin Afire. He made world-class players look average.
Brilliant.
And you didn't want to get into a one-on-one situation with him with space because he would just destroy you. He did it over here, did it in Super League, and he went out to Australia. And if you watch some of the games he played out there, but just in horrific conditions, he just full length of the field tries, beating, 4 and 5 people, If we've got one person, if you're going to bet your mortgage on somebody by putting them through a gap,
Yep.
going 100 metres, and it's why the guy's got a statue. He's got
Absolutely.
a statue.
Mate deserves
He
it.
keeps telling me he's got a statue.
I imagine you'd trained with him quite a lot, and having looked at you as a player and obviously his stature, and I'm only going off experience here, there's those players who are fast over 100 metres,
Yeah.
need a long track. Then there was players like Rob Burrow, for example, because of
Yeah.
his size, not many could beat him over 10, 15, 20 metres.
Yeah.
Was there any distance that you could beat Martin Afire at, or was he just that good all the way through?
I'd love to be able to say yes. I used to beat him at 30, 40, but to be fair, I came close over the shorter distances.
Right.
There wasn't much, but as you got a bit further out, those big long legs would just come out, and it would just be like a racehorse. The Wembley game, the great Wembley game,
course,
where Alan Tate was quick.
Very quick, yeah. Showed him the outside.
But to be fair, had he shown him the inside, the outside, he
Yeah.
still would have beat him.
He scores, yeah.
And if I would have been at fullback, he would have beat me and most other people. So coming in as a 17-year-old and then seeing that as the standard,
Yeah.
I knew straight away. It's almost, Martin was a carrot. I want to get nearer. I want to get nearer. And when we used to do the sprint training, if you could just give him a bit, I'd give him run for his money at certain times, but hats off to him, one of the best wingers I've ever played against.
I've heard you talk a few times about the fact that you would like to maybe have been bigger. So I suspect that your other player, your final one, might be a big guy, but who is the toughest player you've played with or against?
Well, he is a big guy, but he's not a forward. He was built like a forward, but this guy actually played in rugby union, and it's Jonah Lomu. And listen, when you play nearly 10 years in rugby league and 7 years in rugby union, there are so many players, that you're challenged by. But I played against him on a few occasions, and he wasn't just somebody who could traumatise players. He was somebody that could traumatise teams. He had the size, of a really big forward. He was about 18 stone. He could run as fast as any winger, and the cheek of it, he had a sidestep. Not that he ever used it much because, I think it was like the island mentality. He just wanted to run over people. And I only got to play against him, a few times, and I helped him over the line for a few of his tries. But just a big man. You would normally put 2 into a tackle, 3 just to slow it down.
Yeah.
But with him, it was just, whatever you do not let him get any momentum. If he gets 5-10 metre run up, good night.
Good.
You're not bringing him down on your own. You're going to have to commit 3, 4, 5 people. It was almost like speed bump, right. Now he's slowing down, we've got him.
How did you prepare to play against somebody like that if you're facing opposite that? Because as you mentioned there, it takes 3, 4, 5 people to pull him down, especially if he's got a big run up. So how do you prepare for that mentally and physically?
Just keep turning him. Either keep the balls on the floor, turn him around, get him bending over. That's what the big guys don't like, you know, or put balls up in the air so that when it comes down, boom, you've got him nailed then, and then he's out of play for a while. But it's easier said than done. You know, everybody was saying it for years. Fair play to him. You know, 99% of the time, people couldn't stop him. But, you know, I look at what he did to the England team, you know, in the World Cup. He absolutely traumatised them. And it's funny because we sit there now and laugh at the people he ran over, but the reality is it would have been us. But I don't think there's been any player in either league or union that has been known worldwide as much as him. I think when you say Jonah Lomu,
everybody,
you know, people know who he is. Just you know, he crosses over, you know, all different sports, and he was ahead of his time. Just a great guy that has left a legacy with the way he played the game.
Great way to finish. Jonah Lomu, Jason Robinson's toughest player ever, and we hold him in the highest regard, somebody that transcended world sport. You didn't do too bad yourself, Jason. I don't think I've asked the 5 toughest of anybody quite like Jason Robinson before, but there it is, Jason Robinson's 5 toughest players.